Cities are theaters for change and innovation, seats of power and crucibles of culture. By 2050, 68% of the global population will be living in cities that are already bursting at the seams, or moving into others that are yet to be conceived.
Cities is very important for the future development of humanities.
The integrity of many great cities is at risk if modernization and globalization cannot find a way to coexist with history.
Managing an historic city, it's much more complicated than a modern city.
Because the designer has to read the story, to interpret the layers, and to choose what to serve, what to transform, what is the legacy for the future generation.
Never before has it been so imperative to get the recipe right, to create sustainable, livable cities that inspire and excite us all.
We have built environment, social environment, technical environment, natural environment, and you have to mediate between all.
As we race towards a more urbanized future, there is much to learn from the present and the past, from the now, the how, and the wow of building the greatest cities in the world.
Naples itself borders and rises above one of the loveliest bays in the world. Caruso once said, "See Naples and die."
Naples is a city with some of the most striking contrast. Volcano floating under the sea, water and fire together.
Each glimpse you have from the hill to the sea reveals new atmospheres, new colors, new light.
The integration between architecture and landscape is fantastic.
I feel privileged moving through so much history and heritage every day.
Every day I can discover something new, something that makes me happy, that create for me a new narration. But we have a lot of problems in Naples.
It's a city that's always had romantic appeal, and in the past, it's been famed as a tourist resort. But behind the scenery of the bay, Naples is no easygoing holiday center. Naples has a peculiar and justified reputation for colorful squalor.
We have problems of congestion, of traffic and mobility, illegal settlements, pollution. We have the problem of waste management.
What I hate most is that here people get used to living a kind of mediocrity, you know. It's like we think that we do not deserve something better, we do not deserve a better city, a cleaner city, more efficient city, you know. And it's a pity because why not? We deserve it.
But all those problems face the absolute richness of historical values and landscape values.
And the other thing that I think is very special in Naples is the capacity of laughing. This is part of the inner optimism that the city has.
As the late great writer and director Luciano di Crescenzo so eloquently put it, Naples is not so much a city per se, but rather an ingredient of the human spirit.
The view of Vesuvius and the harbor of Naples is famous as one of Italy's most beautiful scenes.
So this is Naples, one of Europe's oldest and most beautifully situated cities. Famous as the gateway to historic Pompeii. A matrimonio of culture and nature, staring down the ravages of time.
Naples has grown incredibly in the last 50 years. After the Second World War, Naples has 1 million of people, but the Great Naples, that is the metropolitan area, is the second largest metropolitan area in our country, after Milan. We have the style of ancients, we have the style of Renaissance, medieval, Renaissance, Baroque.
You have Pompeii, you have the Vesuvio, you have the beautiful landscape of the Sorrento Peninsula, you have the islands, you have royal palaces like Caserta. You have really a network of heritage that is quite incredible.
It lacks the chic amenity of Italy's richer cities. Yet in our rapidly homogenizing urban landscape, its gritty authenticity truly sets it apart.
It's still one of those European cities, one of the few European cities which are not gentrified yet. You can still find a diversity, a social diversity in the very center.
There is a difference between Naples and other cities. Naples is always a mix place where you don't have a neighborhood that is only for rich people. You have always in every place this kind of mix of rich and poor.
And I love also the authenticity of people and the presence of a real ancient culture in each one of us.
And we think internally that our history is also our present.
Naples has had a long history. 2,000 years ago, Italy was the center of the Roman Empire.
The city of Naples was founded in the 5th century before Christ by Greek people already settled in that area.
Their forebears were no doubt attracted to the region because of its resources and location. Certainly, there were risks associated with building a city on the side of a volcano, but these were offset by the fertile soils and ready access to volcanic stone for building. And then, of course, there was the bounty they could reap from the sea.
This geographical attractiveness was very, very important to settle the city.
The choice of site, the relationship between the city and the landscape, and the urban shape, orthogonal grid that you can see now after 2,500 years.
The original pattern was oriented for improving natural ventilation. It is oriented for the main winds of the Gulf. I called it the inner sustainability of the ancient cities with passive technologies. If you make a cross-section of the city, you will have very narrow streets with high buildings, so the streets are in shadow. The problem was the heat, so ventilation, but even insulation. The natural condition was used in the past for improve the wellness of the inhabitants.
And the Greeks and the Romans built the current structure of the downtown city, the very square and narrow streets.
During the Middle Ages, and again in the 16th and 18th centuries, the city was reputed to be one of the most influential cultural centers in the Mediterranean.
Naples has been a capital of a viceroyalty, then a capital of a kingdom, so it grew a lot. Now it covers all the area of the Gulf of Naples.
Between 1282 and 1816, the Kingdom of Naples became the granary of Europe. Its factories were renowned for producing everything from weapons and ammunition to the finest silk brocades. But all that changed when Italy unified in 1861, when much of the port city's wealth was siphoned into the national treasury. Industrialization seemed to be bypassing the South, further contributing to the exodus of 4 million people from the region, which, needless to say, crippled the economy of southern Italy further still.
Naples is also a busy commercial city. Ships from all parts of the world carry goods to and from this port.
Naples is a city port. The port was the city. On the port it was the market. On the port the people walked and meet each other.
Each port is a sort of window that connects the territory to the world. And in this sense, each port is part of the present and is part of the future.
Allied airmen held the sky, while Allied forces on the ground beat back the German army.
Naples was almost completely destroyed during the Second World War because certainly it was an important logistic basis for the Germans. And in the 1943 there was an action by the Americans that destroyed almost completely the port of Naples.
Nearly every military objective known to exist in Italy has taken a pounding such as this heavy raid on Naples. Watch the lower right-hand corner of the screen. That's marksmanship.
Now, Allied troops and willing Italian helpers are straightening things out.
Today, the modern tourist port of Naples is essential to the economic well-being of the city.
It is important to understand that there is no single function that characterizes the port of Naples. We are a gateway port. We are a port that is serving directly the industry of our territory. We are a port of final destination of raw materials and starting destination of final products. For the port of Naples, we are 1,100,000 containers per year. Each year, we receive 4 million tons of oil and 1 million tons of gas. This means that from the port of Naples to the territory, we have the possibility to give energy.
More than 4,800 employees service at least 64,000 ships a year.
Naples is the trading center for most of southern Italy, and it is also a tourist center for people who visit Mediterranean countries.
Merchant vessels on one side of the port, cruise liners on the other.
1.4 million of passengers each year that arrives in Naples. Then we are an extremely important port for passengers in short distance. This means the connection from Naples to Capri, Ischia and Procida that are the island near Naples. And on the other side, the connection to the two major islands of Italy, Sicily and Sardinia. The total number of passengers, almost 9 million passengers per year.
Changes have taken place to make the waterfront more welcoming to overseas visitors, but it's still a long way from becoming the vibrant hub many in the city believe it should be.
We have to redesign the relations between public space of the city, public space of the port. We have to reintegrate the port in the city. I think it's a strategical idea for our future. Port is fenced by the city, is separated by the city, fragmented by the city by a wall. From Naples, you cannot see the sea. You cannot see the coastline. You cannot see the waterfront. It is very bad for us because Naples needs to be a city on the sea, needs to recover the relation with the sea because the sea is life, the sea is landscape, and the sea can be open public space. So we have to trespass this fence, we have to break the limit, and we have to create a new connection between the port and the city. And it is possible. And we have to sustain the public nature of those functions to create a sort of system of squares, pedestrian walkways, and we have to recover the link with the sea and with the world of the sea.
The port has become the third busiest in Italy where tourism is concerned. But for those with a passion for history, make a beeline for the ancient Roman cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum, wiped out when Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD.
Pompeii was totally covered from many meters volcanic deposit. You can imagine what kind of eruption was. Many people died, about 2,000 in Pompeii, and in Herculaneum about 350 because they had the time to escape. In the first phase, a pine-shaped cloud formed from the volcano, 30 kilometers high. And in the night, there was the collapse of the column, so many pyroclastic flow formed, 200 and 300 degrees. and they killed everything, plants, animals, people, everything. Pompeii was forgotten for many centuries.
But after the disaster, its name was gradually forgotten, and for centuries, its very site was unknown. For 1,500 years, it lay undisturbed beneath the lava. Now the full extent of its lavishness is revealed.
They start to do the excavations to show the ruins to the world.
The reason that we chose this room to study and conserve is because the wall paintings here are some of the most beautiful at the site, but also some of the most severely deteriorated.
And now they are still digging with the same mind to preserve. Now it's possible to understand the life of the past.
Almost all of the 2,000 dead were victims of a cloud of fine volcanic ash, which killed as surely as an avalanche, but preserved the bodies intact. They were rediscovered some 16 centuries later and are still there today, as constant reminders that man has no more destructive enemy than the earth on which he lives.
Since famously burying Pompeii and Herculaneum in 79 AD, Vesuvius has erupted over 30 times. Most recently in 1944.
This frightening sequence shows what happened when the rivers of molten lava streamed through the village of San Sebastiano. Pictures to remind us that nature's fury in full flood can be just as destructive as war.
After 1944, it fell in a state of quiescence. It's very strange, but it gave the idea that the volcano was sleeping.
The Italians can hardly believe their luck because Vesuvius has now been quiet for the longest time in recent history.
So it gave the way to building houses very close. Most of the people living on the slopes maybe don't have the feeling of danger. And it's strange if you think that Pompeii is there. It should be taken into consideration much more, maybe.
And this volcano is one of the most incredible risks in the world, because the future activity of volcano could be an explosive eruption. The explosive eruption is very dangerous for the people. And nearby this volcano, there are more than 800,000 people living there. So how can you live there? How can you adapt to this kind of risk? But the risk is not on the east part of Naples, but also on the west part of Naples, where there is another volcanic system.
Campi Flegrei, aka the Burning Fields, is a complex volcanic site with 24 craters and geysers and vents that regularly belch hot gas.
The area is very huge. There's a lot of craters, you know? So we don't know from which one will be an eruption.
Indeed, many volcanologists believe if it were to erupt, it would put Vesuvius's 79 AD outburst to shame.
Vesuvius is 4,000 feet above the nearby Bay of Naples. Yanks on furlough from battle climbed the volcano. Quiet for nearly 15 centuries, it has been erupting continuously in recent years. Time out for a smoke. No match is handy, but molten lava does the trick.
If ever there was a city caught between the proverbial rock and a hard place, it's Naples.
Connected to the volcanic risk, there's the seismic risk. Because the activities of two volcanoes may bring some earthquakes. And then there are a lot of other natural hazards. We have some forests, city forests, like a big park. So with the warm temperature during the summer, there's a huge risk of forest fires. We have the risk of hydrogeological landslides, because during the eruption, it has been studied that it floats.
The Vesuvio is a very impressive volcano. In the past, it did many terrible things. Fortunately now, there is a very special monitoring about the volcano, so it's possible to understand what's happened many days before.
Assuming the population is adequately forewarned, the real challenges for the city will come if and when a mass evacuation is required.
Because the situation is complex, so it requires a complex plan. In the red area, pyroclastic flows, gas, and high temperature will destroy everything. 500,000 people to be evacuated in 72 hours. The yellow zone is an area of other 800,000 people. As a plan guarantees that all the 18 cities in the red area of Vesuvio, they have a twin region, such as inhabitants of Portici, they know that in case of emergency, they will be evacuated in Piemonte, is the county of Turin. So inhabitants already knows where they are going to be moved in case of emergency. To do this, they will use every kind of mean of transportation, even trains, bus, but even ships, ferries. Some routes will be dedicated to the emergency teams. Some routes will be dedicated to the evacuation. So you have to consider that Naples is very high density of populations. We can imagine, people will drive not in an easy way. They hurry, they're scary, so there will be car accident, there will be traffic jam. I think there will be a big effort from all the emergency team involved, It will be a big effort to let the flows, to let everything flow.
The traffic in Naples is notoriously bad at the best of times, let alone during a crisis.
There's no real rush hour in Naples. Not that negotiating the traffic is easy. See Naples and get killed.
Napolitans like the cars. Napolitans use the cars also to go from the house to the bar to take a coffee. They take the car.
There's a lot of congestion because Naples is a very old city, so it's narrow. So during the day, in the active life of cities, thousands and thousands of cars concentrated in same streets.
The congestion is a great problem for the contemporary city because for the quality of the space, but also for the quality of the air and the well-being of the city. We have to change this mentality by changing the spaces. We have to work on that. We have to work on a new structure of open space, also in the neglected area of the city. We have the creativeness and we have the smartness and we have the richness of places that can allow us to do that.
In the noisy, teeming streets below, the special character of Neapolitan life comes through. Dickens called it street theatre on the grand scale.
It's a city that truly wears its heart on its sleeve, with street art providing social commentary and color everywhere you turn. Inspiring murals of popular international heroes and works by many world-renowned artists. They reference the contemporary lived experience in streets that attest to the past. In every neighborhood, you'll also encounter a banchetto of exquisite food and wine.
The food is the best tasting food everywhere, every time.
In 2017, UNESCO recognized the significance of Neapolitan pizza making, adding it to their celebrated list of intangible cultural heritage. Yet another attraction the city can promote and benefit from economically.
The city now is known not only for pizza or old songs like O Sole Mio, but for architecture too, contemporary art, theater. In 1995, the historic center of Naples was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
For about 1,000 hectares. So it's very, very large. The World Heritage listing was important to start a process of returning back to history, restoring, reconverting.
There's almost too much tangible heritage here, competing for cash and concern. Greek graveyards, Roman ruins, medieval castles, Renaissance churches, exquisite palaces, and more.
This was started about 10 years ago with a loan of 100 million of euros. That is not very, very high, but allowed to start some intervention on public spaces, on some buildings, on some important buildings.
Funding from international organizations such as UNESCO certainly helped the city to care for its heritage. But as the years roll by and more buildings deteriorate, it spreads pretty thin on the ground.
I think that it's important to select heritage, because not everything that is part of our past has the same importance in terms of cultural heritage.
Bricks and mortar, they do testify a past. This district is still a very compact historical district that even in a poor state of conservation, it still presents authentic characteristics. Around the historical heritage as a building, there is an invisible network of social use. There's the society in it and around it. There is people and there is memory. The very use of it is already a form of preservation. When using a building, even when it's not in a perfect state, it prevents the deterioration of that state.
This is one of the values that we need to preserve to have an authentic city that could also fascinate the public and the visitors.
Every historic period, every epic moment in the life of the city is recorded in the stratification of its urban fabric above and below the chaotic streets.
Naples is made in layers, and every layer is something important. And if you see all the layers together, you understand that we live in a very special city.
Many of the sites and tunnels within the underground labyrinth are open to the public, providing a glimpse of the past and, in some chambers, the future. The world's first hypogeum garden has become a model many cities adversely affected by smog and acid rain are attempting to replicate.
The underground space that we can see today has been almost completely dug by the hand of man. Today, the extension of the underground spaces is almost 1 million square meters. It's like a city under the city.
We have built a city on the material produced by the volcano. So we have a lot of layer, a pyroclastic layer that was accumulated on the ancient soil that dates back millions of years.
This volcanic deposit, very easy to cut. So in the past, from the Greek time, people started to dig the tuff from the underground to build buildings. So there is another city, full of empty spaces. Tunnels, galleries, quarries, water tanks. So in the past, we have used the underground for many, many reasons. During the war, it was used as bomb shelter.
In this underground space, you can see together centuries of history.
You go under the church and you see the Roman street. Then you have the level of medieval, and then outside you have the level of 1900 city. This kind of multi-layered space is the richness and also the identity of our space.
Building the underground metro system was a boon for archaeologists in Naples, leading to discoveries that changed their understanding of the history of the Mediterranean world.
Possible to see different layers, different times. You can find the pieces coming from the past. Little treasures, little objects. If you start from the top, the first meters are made of modern soil, nothing special. But after 5-6 meters, you start to see something special. Medieval roads, potteries. And then you go down, and down, and down. And if you are lucky, you find something from the Roman time. If you are very lucky, from the Greek time.
One of the stations, that is the Toledo station, was found a Neolithic soil. It was very important because it has dated back the first settlement in Naples earlier than we thought before. So the metro has also changed the history of the city, because the findings in some way has changed the knowledge about our past.
One of the most startling finds came about when the authorities decided to change the alignment of one of the metro lines.
The decision to change the path of the line and to reach the port crossed the very ancient layer of the city. The consequence was to find the most incredible archaeological layer, that is the Greek-Roman port, 3 Roman ships, a huge medieval neighborhood near the Castel Nuovo. So I can say that maybe it's one of the most complicated problems of urban archaeology in Europe.
Needless to say, the excavation process was painstaking and inevitably put the opening of the metro line behind schedule.
Each layer of archaeological excavation proceeds with 15 centimeters of excavation. Then you have to stop and you analyze all the findings, and then another 15 centimeters. So that is the reason why we are working on that station since 17 years.
Completely new technologies had to be invented to contend with the unique hydrogeological conditions present in the subterranean world.
All the tunnels, all the stations were built freezing the soil in order to prevent the flooding from water.
Liquid nitrogen was used to artificially freeze the ground where workers had to bore through the aquifer, a process they had to continually monitor and alter to suit the variable nature of the terrain. Small wonder it took so many decades to evolve the plan, and many more to see it through to its current stage of completion.
It's a very long history, but also I think I can say a proudness also to have accomplished a very difficult task to have a metro in a difficult geographical city like Naples.
To date, 18.2 kilometers of tunnel and 18 underground stations have been built along Line 1, with an additional 4 kilometers of track and 5 stations in the pipeline. Total cost, €3.8 billion, with clearly no expense spared on the window dressing.
A canopy of glass, escalators suspended in the air, and mirrors everywhere you look. This is Garibaldi Station, the latest hub inaugurated this week of a spectacular new metro system in Naples in southern Italy.
The subway in Naples is a sort of open-air museum, and it is very important because all the stations are characterized by the presence of pieces of art by very important Italian and also international artists. It seems to be inside a contemporary art gallery.
The station is more than 40 meters underground, and the challenge was to avoid creating a well and to bring the city inside, right to the platforms.
The idea of having in the station beautiful contemporary art installation to allow all the people to visit and to view these art.
And we are very proud of it.
The price of a ticket, €1.30, opens the doors to this colorful world.
It's not just a metro station, it is an underground contemporary art museum. It's one of the most beautiful metro systems in the world.
It involved about 100 artists from all the world. That makes a beautiful relationship between history, the architecture, and the technical installation of a metro.
Here it's not about people going to museums. The museum travels along with the public.
With 45 million commuters using the subway system every year, it's arguably the most visited art gallery on the planet. With good reason, the metro has become the pride and joy of many Neapolitans, a place that exists in sharp contrast to the chaotic and often dangerous world above, where the streets are controlled by a very different kind of underground alliance, the Camorra, the oldest organized crime syndicate in the country.
Naples, the city that has become a symbol of mafia-style corruption and of poor management.
Camorra is a method of life, a system of life.
The subculture of violence and prevarication, and this is what I hate of the city.
A criminal organization which controls every feature of our economy.
There are 80 clans in all the metropolitan area of Naples.
The Camorra originated here in the region of Campania with the first public record of existence in 1820s, but its reach has gone global.
Not only in Naples, not only in Campania, but in all the places of Italy. And now Camorra controls jobs contracts, drug traffic and selling, garbage dumps, everything. All economic issues are controlled by Camorra.
Here in Naples there are hundreds of arrests and hundreds of kidnappings. So there is a judicial answer for the problem, the Camorra. The only judicial answer is not effective.
As soon as one crime boss or mobster gets arrested, another quickly fills his place. And alarmingly, they appear to be getting more brazen every day.
They are very, very aggressive, and sometimes they kill people without reason. So we got these young people, 15, 16, 17, 18, becoming bosses. But they are so young. Another feature of this problem, or this phenomenon, we call stese in Italian. They shoot against buildings, they shoot against windows or against cars to say, here we are the bosses. Here our clan is the main one. Some parts of our town, we are in war. Camorra clans are in war.
There is little doubt their criminal activity poisons everyday life in the city. But further afield in the countryside, the long-term consequence of Camorra is as insidious as it is lethal.
1981, the principal business is not drug but rubbish, because rubbish is gold.
With municipal landfills all over the country rapidly nearing capacity and everyday household rubbish literally piling up on the streets, the legal dumping of hazardous waste became increasingly difficult and expensive.
Much of the city has been enduring piles of rubbish on the streets as arguments raged over how to dispose of it all.
It's disgusting, truly disgusting, and not only the waste, everything.
The only solution would be to leave this place. Otherwise, we're forced to accept living like this.
The Camorra were quick to realize the situation presented a lucrative business opportunity and turned a blind eye to the impact their actions would have on the environment.
Companies have to pay some money to get rid of this waste. Camorra says, don't worry, we transport waste into dumps, so you spend less money. A lot of toxic wastes have been buried. In these places, a lot of people, and especially children, are dying. They're dying because of toxic waste. They were very ignorant, and they didn't understand that they were killing their lands and their people.
Asia is a mum and an NGO volunteer. Just down her street, an anonymous tip led to the discovery of a tank full of toxic waste.
We found polish and glue residues inside, but also beryllium, which is a nuclear molecule. It's the first time they found a tank buried 15 meters into the ground beneath a layer of cement. And that's the sign of the mafia.
Whatever the Camorra hid underground leached into the soil, affecting crops and contaminating rivers. And what they didn't bury, they burned, fouling the air. In environmental agencies estimated that 10 million tons of toxic waste has been dumped in the region since the 1990s, reducing the life expectancy of all in Campania by several years.
Asbestos, industrial strength glue and paint stripper. You can find it all and worse dumped in between Naples and Caserta in southern Italy.
Mortality rates in the epicenter, or so-called triangle of death, are 10% higher than men living elsewhere in the region, and 13% higher for women. The incidence of breast cancer is 47% above the national average, and birth defects 80%.
And every year, more people die.
We are here because Naples is a disaster for Italy, for all Europe. Our mayor is, for us, a criminal that destroyed our city and our dignity.
Slowly but surely, the Italian government is doing its best to rectify the situation, to clean up the city's act, as it were. In 2009, they commissioned a waste-to-energy plant in Acerra, which provides an alternative, legal way for Neapolitan companies and the municipality to dispose of their waste. The non-hazardous incineration of 600,000 tons of rubbish per year also produces enough energy to power 200,000 households. And in doing so, has become an exemplary model for other cities to follow. Controlling the Camorra is another matter entirely, for it appears to be fueled by a seemingly endless supply of disenfranchised youth.
I am a lucky woman. No, I born in a good family with people that love me. My mother was a professor. My father was a public official. I grew up in the best, but that is not the common. There is a lot of people growing up with a lot of problems.
Only a third of these homes have wash basins and 1 in 4 a shower.
The end of the Second World War, Naples was occupied by the Allied troops. And it was the worst period of the cities because people was very poor.
They queued up for food, too. You bet they did. The lure of bread seemed to bring out all their best party behavior.
Everything was gone. People was hungry. In this occasion, people lost this identity, this ethics, the control of the self-respect.
And as for the queues which lined up outside AMGOT headquarters where jobs of work were being made available, what unselfishness, what comradeship.
Youth unemployment has become a huge issue around the world, and Naples is far from immune. In 2012, the rate of unemployment among young Neapolitans stood at 53.6%.
We need to think about the next generation.
There is a problem of roots of identity in this age. A lot of young people go outside, abroad for studying. Many of that didn't come back. Young people, educated people, people that have opportunities for making the differences, I think have to stay here.
We are living most the present than the future. We can build a vision for the future only having a common vision of our public common interest.
Near the top of this shared agenda is urban renewal and the ongoing quest to find the right balance between the past and the present, all while remaining mindful of the future. A task far easier said than done in a city burdened with bureaucracy.
The main problem in changing our cities is that you can wait almost 10 years for having all the check for building. And this is a problem for investors. Investors don't want to wait 20 years for having their payback.
This kind of contrast, this kind of conflict between values, exceptional values, and also problems that are urban, that are social, that are economical. This kind of conflicts makes Naples a very interesting case of study about what is the transformation of contemporary city. This kind of mix is very interesting for an urban designer because here you can understand how can work an innovative approach to the city. This kind of approach has to deal with the concept of growth.
Thousands of people live on or below the poverty line in Naples. 24% of the city's citizens live in public housing, paying no rent. Others are homeless, relying on the kindness of charitable organizations.
One of the problems is that Naples is a big city that has a huge public debt, and things are going worse day by day.
Naples has grown, the people, the population has grown, but also the settlements has grown in a very bad way, not really institutionally designed. Many of those settlements are illegal, so are spontaneous. So the growth has been very problematic in our territory.
So what we have done here is let people to experiment. And what's interesting in this kind of experimentation is not something from Naples. We have spotted buildings and self-regulation of them everywhere in the world. The difference is that we have to stop a moment and say, all right, why the legal order say that this is a problem? What people do in this place?
Naples has a lot on its plate. It can't be easy dealing with any one of these issues, let alone the whole job lot. But the city refuses to give up on itself and its optimistic vision for the future.
Now is the moment where innovation has to make the engine for planning. What social environment will born? What cultural environment will born? What economical opportunities I can give?
We are studying a lot which kind of growth can be appropriate for the contemporary world. In our idea, in our visions for the city, we have to deal with the ecological subject. We have to deal with soils, with water, with energy. We have to work on the coupling between development and expansion. We just need to regenerate the existing and to create a new ecological town. We have to design adaptive projects for our city and for our metropolitan areas. We have to work on the sustainable mobility. We have to make stronger the public systems like metro, like train, and then we have to interconnect with pedestrian, bicycle lanes, and all other way of the movement in territory. Tourism now is a very important resource for the city, and we have to work on this resource to create development not only for the economical subject, but also for revitalizing places, buildings, and spaces. And it's a very important strategical vision for our city.
Failing to pay homage to the memory of Naples would be an absolute travesty. So most urban planners and designers are committed to finding a way forward that allows the city to modernize without losing its historical edge.
The best way to respect the past is transformation. To be innovative means to be open to the future, and at the same time to reinterpret the past in a contemporary way.
It's possible to have a good future, but everything depends on the culture.
Naples could be a laboratory of culture, a laboratory of historical background, a laboratory of openness to the present.
To find the right level, the sustainable level of a touristic city without changing its nature.
We have a very deep tradition in conserving and restoring monuments. We have to use this tradition, but we have to put those monuments, those heritage fragments inside our contemporary life cycle.
The city cannot be considered a museum. If it doesn't change, it dies.
Our people is understanding that, and our institutions are understanding that. UNESCO has understood that. And this is very important. I think this is a very fertile vision for our future.